Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. I barely have any memories of my bio mom. She passed away due to an accident when I was very young. So, all my life, I've considered my stepmom, my dad, and my stepbrother, Adam, to be my only family. It was my stepmom, especially, who made me realize that family really went way beyond blood. She treated me like her own, even since my dad and her started dating when I was around a year and a half. My happiness just got 2 times more when she gave birth to Adam. From the get go, my parents made sure to let me know that Adam and I both should mean beyond blood to each other. That is how our relationship always was, or so I thought. I mean, that is what makes everything that happened feel so surreal, so shocking, and straight up a lie. I mean, Adam was my best friend, man. We were known as the troublemakers in school, the duo, and the siblings everyone knew had a bond that was stronger than ever. It was during high school itself that I also met Kayla. Kayla and I met at the art class we used to share. We bonded over the fact that I hated art, and she tried to convince me to start loving it. It was so great. We eventually realized how much we liked each other and began dating. Life seemed as normal as it possibly could be. We all got along great, and I really thought I was living the life. Fast forward to now, I've graduated college and so has Kayla. We live together in this apartment in the city just a narrow way from my parents' place. Adam lives with my parents because his university is really close to the place where my parents live. Adam and I are still very close, but things have changed after all these years, of course. I'd be lying if I denied the fact that our personalities haven't gone into completely different directions. Adam has sort of become the rowdy, loud, funny, extroverted, living the party life kind of dude. All throughout high school, he was also the kind to jump from one relationship to another, never committing into one kind of dude. Currently, though, he's in one of his longest relationships, dating a girl named Ashley. Now, I never saw anything wrong with his lifestyle choices or even something to worry too much about. However, this change is something that had gotten him much closer to my dad because apparently, in the words of my dad, he's proud of the fact that Adam is living the college life he did, unlike me, who always stayed cooped up in my dorm room. None of it bothered me. To me, this was all just friendly banter. But man, I was very soon to find out that this friendly banter was the red flag I should have been looking for all along. Unfortunately, though, I didn't, and this is where it has gotten me. It started falling apart last week. You see, I support my family financially a lot. My parents both have minimum wage jobs after they lost the ones they had during the pandemic. As a result, they couldn't really pay for Adam's tuition either. I've taken up a lot of the load of my family's finances. I have no problem with that. So when last week my dad sat me down and talked about his declining health and how he had visited a doctor who recommended him taking a whole bunch of tests, I heard him out. I was already stressed out because things were seeming off with Kayla and my work being too tiring. So I simply listened to him vent and told him that I'd hand him the money the next time I visited for dinner. I ranted out my feelings to him about my stress and my issues with Kayla. My dad heard it all, gave me a pat on, and told me that everything will be fine. It was comforting, and honestly, I'm still reliving the moment because I was soon going to find out that it was the last time I saw my dad in his eyes with respect. Well, unbeknownst to me that my life was technically going to fall apart, I simply just returned home that day as usual, and Kayla and I immediately got into this huge argument over me forgetting to get something that she had told me to. The argument was extremely explosive, and that too for absolutely no reason. I can still vividly remember how Kayla had avoided me that entire night. She stayed clung to her phone, avoiding eye contact with me and going to a different room whenever I tried to talk to her. I don't even know if she was trying, but she made it so obvious that she was either talking about me or was up to no good. I feel like something that night started taking over me too. My tolerance towards her began to reduce. Her inability to communicate started to annoy me. The curiosity took over me completely, and although I started to hate what was becoming of me, I just knew I had to snoop into her phone. The moment I guessed her extremely hard password, I expected to find nothing that serious except for maybe a couple of texts to her friends venting about me. But that was far from it. I sat down in the living room as she was asleep, began snooping, and initially found nothing. Her iMessages were practically clean. It was her WhatsApp, though, that had what I was looking for. The moment I opened the app, I was greeted by a group chat named Hotel for 10/03/22. My stomach immediately dropped. It started to click to me that Kayla had first lied to me about what she was doing on that day. Still, I took a deep breath and opened the group chat, just hoping that once again things were innocent. Needless to say, they were absolutely not. The group chat was between Adam, my dad, and her, discussing all sorts of things. Money, hotel rooms, Adam and Kayla, Kayla and I. The last message that my dad left said it all to me, though. It simply said, "I have arranged for the money." That fool, like always, had absolutely no idea about anything. The message had laughing emoji reactions. I immediately knew what it was all about. It was at that moment that I felt that my world had come crashing down. It wasn't just my world, though. I knew that that my stepmom and Adam's girlfriend would have their world shaken up too. I was thinking about all of this along with a million other thoughts in my head as I screenshotted as many texts as I possibly could from the group chat. It was from there itself that I found out these sick MFSs were trying to plan a 3-year anniversary for Adam and Kayla, as that's how long it had been since they began their affair. I was sick to my stomach. I put Kayla's phone down, packed my bags, and left the house. I booked myself a hotel room and have been living there since the past entire week, avoiding all and every contact with my family. I know they've all found out what has happened. They're just waiting for me to reach out to them and give them the confirmation. Something inside me can't get me to do it, though. I feel like I'm still in that hazy state of mind that I have been in since the day I found out about it all. I really don't know what to do or where to go. I really would appreciate some advice, guidance here. AITA? I decided to meet my stepmom first, and like I had guessed accurately, she had absolutely no idea about the entire ordeal. The only reason why she had been blowing up my phone was because she was scared for my well-being all these days. Kayla had told her that I was out of town for a boys' trip. I was, once again, astounded at this girl's audacity. I didn't say much initially, I just dropped it on her. I tried to keep my composure as I confessed all of it to her, but couldn't help the tears that had begun streaming down my cheeks. I cried like an absolute baby that day as my stepmom held me so very gently. She slowly started crying too, out of sheer disappointment. We both cried. She then told me something I never expected her to do. She told me that she had made up her mind and that she'll be kicking my dad and Adam both out of the house, which is under her name. I told her that she really didn't have to do any of this. She replied to me saying that she wishes she could do so much more to heal the heartbreak my dad and Adam put me through. I told her that her words were truly enough for me to get me going. That unfurled a soft smile on her lips. She ordered some food before hugging me goodbye and leaving. I think you guys were absolutely right. Talking about this really helped me get out and really get things moving. I'm sure Kayla has gotten the news of everything breaking down by now, and I'm sure she'll hear more as Ashley and the friend group they share together spread the news of her disgusting acts. A couple of days have passed since my stepmom last visited me. My phone started blowing up by Kayla and Adam today, as I guessed. Ashley and my mom put them in their place. I see no signs of remorse from these two, though, and I don't expect anything better from them either. I guess I had at least hoped for some peace instead of waking up to a spam of at least 100 messages from both of them each day separately. That was the moment I knew it was about time. I had to block them. But informing Kayla, she had exactly 1 day to vacate the house, or else I'll be calling the cops before. I also told Kayla's brother of the situation, who apologized to me profusely and agreed upon coming to pick her up. I then got ready to go meet Ashley as promised. The meeting between Ashley and I was more like a closure than anything else. We talked for 4 hours straight, connecting the pieces together and making sense of the situation altogether. It was shocking, yet calming in a way at the same time, how it was both of us who had fallen for the traps and lies of Adam and Kayla. Ashley, being the social butterfly she is, has truly done a great job at letting everyone she possibly can know about everything that went down. With the social circles being as small and tight-knit as they are in this city, absolutely no one is ready to give Adam a place to live and acknowledge Kayla's existence. At this point, however, I don't get any satisfaction or validation from this situation. I feel like the moment I cried it all out, I've let these people out of my mind. Now, I'm just waiting for all of them to get out of my life for final and for good. Here's a final update, as you guys wanted. Kayla moved out of my house and I was able to move back in and adjust pretty much with ease. Kayla did try to stay back the day I was moving back in, though. I simply just ignored her existence. Her brother practically had to drag her out of the apartment complex. I honestly felt bad for him because it seems like this is just the more beginning of Kayla's craziness. As for Adam and my dad, they're currently living in a matchbox apartment as my stepmom kicked them out of her house. Adam has almost no friends left in college and is also struggling with the tuition fees, as my stepmom refuses to give him aid in all and every manner possible. His grades, which were already low previously, have dropped even further. It's not just Adam, though. My stepmom also went as far as filing for a divorce from my dad, who has avoided me like I'm the Satan himself ever since this situation took place. My stepmom's decisions were honestly shocking to me, but also something that made me admire her more than ever. Her actions truly made me firm on my views of love going way beyond blood, because it was from my dad that I learned that blood didn't mean shit. At the end of the day, I feel like most parts of me have moved on from the situation. I have started to go out more, meet new people, and get new hobbies. It feels like I'm watching my life grow faster than ever while watching Kayla, my dad, and Adam's life falling at the same rate. I'm not one bit saddened or surprised by it, though, because like they say, you reap what you sow. Lastly, I want to say thank you for the amazing support and advice you guys gave me. It truly feels like, in a way, that's the reason why I have reached where I am today. So thank you so much from the depths of my heart once again. NTA, the stepmom is truly the champ here. The way she went above and beyond for you is something you don't ever see these days. I really loved reading the downfall of Kayla, Adam, and your dad, just as they deserved it. If people like your dad and stepbrother exist, people wouldn't ever need enemies. Good on you and your stepmom for kicking them to the curb. NTA. I, 25 male, turned 25 this past Monday. To celebrate, I planned to have dinner with my family and then go out to a bar with friends. My dad loves to cook, so I asked if he could just make something he knew I liked. I didn't care what. When I got to my parents' house, I found my brother, 23 male, and his girlfriend, Nadia, 22 female, had decided to cook for us instead. Okay, fine. And they've decided to cook dishes Nadia chose instead of my favorites. All right, a bit annoying, but whatever. But then we sat down to eat and I actually tried the food. Every single dish was so incredibly spicy. My mouth was on fire, and the only thing that I could stand to eat was the rice. Well, Nadia notices I'm basically not touching my food and asks me if everything's all right. And I have to admit that it's just far too spicy for me. She looks embarrassed. So then my brother goes off on me, telling me I'm being incredibly rude and they worked so hard on the meal. I gently reminded him that while I appreciate it, I didn't ask them to cook for me. And I certainly didn't ask them to make food he knew I wouldn't like. So then my mom starts off on me for fighting at the table, and my dad is scolding me for not appreciating a good meal. Nadia looks like she's about to cry, so I try to make a joke that it looks amazing, I'm just too white for all this spice. Well, it didn't work, because my brother calls me a racist and starts shouting at me. At that point, I figured dinner's ruined, and I wasn't going to eat anyway, so I excused myself and went to the bar early. My brother isn't speaking to me, and my parents have both asked that I apologize to him and Nadia. But I think my brother owes me an apology for calling me a racist over spicy food. AITA? NTA. Poor Nadia, honestly. It sounds like she didn't know you don't eat spicy food and tried to do something nice and probably thought the meal would be special. People who can eat spicy often don't get that people who can't, literally can't, is not an allergy, but a really can't eat spicy too. And joking about yourself being too white for spices is totally fine. I do that too, just as a joke. I'm too blonde to do XYZ I'm bad at. It sounds like neither your parents nor your brother thought this through and were embarrassed. NTA, only you and Nadia deserve an apology. You tried to be polite and told her it's too spicy for you. She already felt bad the food was too spicy for you, and the scene created by your parents and your brother only made it worse. I bet no one told her your food preferences. I, 26 female, work at a retail store. We're all 25 to 30 except for the front manager, 19 male. Brad, who is a baker, and I know because he went to high school with my little brother. I do a little baking and a little cooking. I'm a better chef, and the only baking goods I can really do are croissants, a special type of bread my nonna taught me, and cheesecakes. Cheesecake is literally the only dessert I can make well. Brad and I talk a lot about cooking, baking. Brad has started bringing some of his creations to work since a lot of times others bring snacks. I have yet to do this because, one, I don't eat anything anyone else brings, and two, I make $12 an hour there and I'm working 2 full-time jobs. Besides, Brad, these people aren't my friends. I'm not going to spend my money on them. My store manager, Jack, 30 male, has made a few comments, but never pushed it since he's even said, we don't get paid much. Recently, though, I mentioned to Brad I was making a pumpkin cheesecake for my other coworkers, and I got guilted into making one for my retail job. So I made it, and I brought it in this morning. Everyone was talking about how good it looked, smelled, and how they couldn't wait for break time to try it. On the register, 3 registers are connected, so Brad, me, and one other coworker were all standing by each other. Brad asked about what kind of pie crust I used, and I told him that I made it from scratch, like I usually do. He mentioned that he makes his cream cheese from scratch, but can't make crusts that seem to not get hard. I laughed and said that we're the opposite. Jack heard and came unglued. He started saying I was lying about making it from scratch. I never said that, except about the crust. I just wanted the prestige of baking without the work, and he even called me lazy. So I told him, okay, went back to the break room, took my cake, and put it in my lunchbox, since that has freezer packs, and put it in my car. Jack was screaming the whole time, but when I came in, I reminded him I'm entitled to 2 15-minute paid breaks. That was one of them. Now, my coworkers are upset because I'm not feeding them, and several are saying they assumed I made everything. Bakers often use pre-made ingredients, and I only had one day to make this because I was guilted. I didn't want to in the first place. I feel like if I'm doing them a favor, they should shut up and be happy. Brad is the only one who agrees because he says he often uses pre-made components. AITA? People were agreeing with him as he was saying it before I took the cake out. If it was just him, I'd have probably just left it and not brought anything else again. Also, Brad and I are the only two who bring in things we actually make. Everyone else brings in store-bought stuff. I don't care though because I don't need it. There's nothing wrong with store-bought snacks. I'm just waiting to be able to quit this job. My first job after training, I should get a raise where I can just work that one. HR is garbage. Jack is usually nice to me, but apparently he has some issues with our regional manager and acts out after they talk. NTA, very few people make cream cheese from scratch, so what the hell is his problem? Jack sounds unhinged.